For the last 6 months, I've been running my business with an AI I named Orion. He's not just a random chatbot that I ask random questions to. He's actually an agent that works alongside me and does stuff with me. And even better, he's not just an AI agent, he's actually a teammate. I can ask him anything about my business. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm trying to get at. He understands my thought process. He has all the memory files. The advantage of an AI agent like this is they have all the memory, they have all the files, it's all organized, and it knows your business and it knows you probably better than you know yourself. So you've probably seen all these AI second brain videos out there. What those really are, they're just a folder of markdown files, and these markdown files are organized in a methodical manner. That's definitely real. That's the new way that everybody's teaching now. And that's where I started, just essentially a second brain. But really it's only 20% of it, because the 80% comes after it, and how you actually use all those files to get things done, to better yourself, to get better in your business. And with an AI agent that's properly set up this way, they have never-ending memory because they write everything down to markdown files. They organize it. They can have overnight agents. They can do real client work. And a lot of what you've seen out there, people don't really show the full detail because they've only been running it for, say, 2 weeks. But I've actually been doing this for the last 6 months. And we have a super organized system, and he knows me like the back of my hand. So anything I ask about the business, any type of brainstorming I want to do, he'll be able to find the answer. He'll be able to find what we did in the past, the learning lessons, and he'll be able to curate a better outcome and get us to doing better work and serving our clients in the highest possible manner. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you my setup and how this all works. Let's go ahead and just dive right in. So Orion operates out of Claude Code here. First thing I'm going to show you is what I do each morning is I run my morning routine. So I just sit down on my computer here and then I turn my dictation on and I say something like this. Good morning, Orion. Let's brief. So then I say something like that and then I send it off. Sometimes it's good morning. Sometimes it's, hey, let's get the day started. Whatever, doesn't matter. He knows what to do. And the way it works is Claude Code is designed to go and read. Same thing with Codex and GPT. But in my case here, I'm using Claude. What it does is the first thing it reads is a claude.md file. It's basically a set of instructions that tells the agent what to do when you're first starting a session. So he reads that, and that gives him other instructions to go and read several other files. Files such as his soul that basically tells him who he is. It's what makes Orion Orion. It tells him who he is, how to act, his personality, and anything else that allows him to be an actual agent sitting in my computer here next to me doing work. Then he reads his memory files, and there's a couple other files that he reads too, and then he wakes up and he boots up properly to being my agent here. So as we see, he just did the morning brief. So he said, morning brother, Tuesday, June 16th, travel day. It's true, I'm traveling today. And then he lists some things that happened overnight. He lists out today's one thing. So for our case, I had him come up with a reflective prompt. The one thing that needs to get done today to move the business. So it'll be a reflective prompt asking me something for me to think about deeply and not just, oh yeah, we're going to work on this today, but why we're going to work on this today, or why didn't we get what we didn't get done yesterday, whatever it may be, some thought-provoking question. And so usually what I'm going to do with that is, instead of me just typing it out, what I've been doing a lot lately is I've been dictating. So I'll just come down here, I'll turn the dictation on, and I'll just speak. I'll just read through the morning brief, talk to him, explain what's going on, have a little back and forth for a little bit, and then we move on to what we're going to be doing. So now you may be thinking, oh wow, it's a fancy morning brief or it's a fancy to-do list. Well, that's fair, but what he's actually done here is, one, he looks in and sees what day it is, what time it is, and then he pulls things that we've done yesterday, things that we've done this week, things that are on our to-do list, or maybe just a bunch of things that I've listed out for him to do. And then what he'll do is he'll curate that into a good list that we need for that day and list out here. Then we'll talk about it, we'll discuss. And so that way I'm not having to open my to-do list app, figure things that I want to do, or things that maybe an agent can do or not. But then also gives me a reflective prompt. So a bunch of benefits here to this. And also he'll structure things in a methodical order for that day. And he'll say things that he can take care of versus things that me as a human needs to do. So that's our morning brief. Now, the other thing you might be looking at is, okay, he has this morning brief and he pulls things up in memory. And you might say, well, ChatGPT has memory, Claude has memory, Gemini, Grok, all these have memory. While they do, that's true, but they're in a way kind of limited because built-in memory is a junk drawer. This is actually a journal. You don't always get to choose what gets put into memory. It just takes random things throughout the day that it thinks at the moment is important, but it may or may not be. Yeah, you can go and edit them, But what this setup does is the way we get everything in a methodical manner for the memory is it's not just taking random things throughout the day. What we do is at the end of the day, we do what's called a closeout. And so he goes and reviews the entire day, looks at everything and takes out the important pieces for how they happened, for how they affected other things throughout the day, learning lessons that we had, whatever it may be. He looks at all of it to get a good idea of what that day was, and then he writes it to our files. And we have different memory files. Everything does get verbatim recorded down, so we can go back and look any day, any time that we worked in the past 6 months, and we can find exactly what we're trying to find out at any time. So the memory is not just A to Z list of every message that we've done. It's actually crafted into different digests. We have a daily digest, we have a weekly digest, so pretty much kind of a summary of what happened through that week, the big things. Then we have the monthly digest, which is what happened during that past month. Then we're working on what's now a yearly digest. So he's going to have those recent ones loaded into his memory. And so then if we're talking about something and I go, wait a minute, I know we talked about this a couple months ago. I think we talked about it was probably about this amount, or we were working on this thing. I may not remember exactly, but if it's in one of his digests, he can look in there, then he can drill down to the month, then to the week, and then find that specific day. And the search happens a lot quicker, so we can surface what we were just talking about and give me exactly what it was and find all other details that matter for that specific topic that I brought up. So I'm going to show you here a little bit of an overview of how this whole system works. So if you look here, we have Orion here right in the center. This is Orion, this is the agent. Then we have me over here. I just talk to him like a teammate. I don't have to sit there and come up with a specific prompt that I have to really detail out and get the right structure. Yes, I try to get good prompts in there, but still at the same time, I don't have to fully do that because he already knows everything. He knows everything about me. He knows the business. He knows all the memory. So I can tell him what we're working on and he knows, oh, we're going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this taken care of. The other thing that he has is skills. So let me just step back here. When I send him a message, it goes to Orion, and he first reads his identity, his soul, to let him know who he is. This is the brain, it's the folder with the markdown files. And then he also reads the daily memory logs, lessons, digests, so all that's loaded into his context, along with my message that's coming in. And so now he can respond as Orion, as my teammate. Now he also has a bunch of skills. So skills are basically just different workflows, different tasks that he's done in the past and he knows, and he can go back and look at basically a set of instructions, a repeatable playbook that allows him to get our tasks done the same every time. He also has a bunch of connections, as Claude is working now, has connections to almost any software and tool out there. CRM, Slack, email, calendar, make.com, YouTube, browser. So he has all those connections. So the skills, the connections, all the memories, everything that comes together, he's essentially a teammate that's sitting right here on my computer next to me that can get work done. So he helps me with make.com builds, HighLevel builds, analyzing high-level accounts. He helps me write proposals when I get on a sales call, which I'll cover that in a minute because it's pretty cool what he does. He also has tasks that he does overnight, so works on things while I sleep. For example, this whole YouTube video, he wrote the concept for it, he did the research, he found the idea, decided, hey, we should teach what we're doing here. And he came up with the whole, not the specific transcript because I like to talk off the top of my head, but an outline, topics of what I'm talking about in this video. As you can see here, he does the morning brief, and then he also helps me write content and helps me post things into my community to help better come up with ideas for my community, which is not just my online community, but also YouTube and Facebook, and helps me with ideas for content. Now, I don't ever just let him post directly. I actually like to read it over myself. He'll give me ideas, kind of an outline of the post or whatever it is, but I'm always the one hitting send. I'm always the one hitting enter. I rewrite it, I edit to be in my own words. But a lot of times, I don't have to rewrite it much because when he writes something, it sounds a lot like me. It's very close to how I would actually write something. So I don't do that much editing. And that's because over 6 months of this, he's learned about me, he's learned about my writing, he's learned about how I talk, how I speak, things that I say, things that I don't say. So he has what's now an Aaron content skill. So then he can write content that sounds just like me. And then again, like I said, there's not much editing I have to do. I just look it over, sounds good, maybe tweak this a little bit here and there. And then I go back and I tell him, hey, I changed this, or I showed him what my actual post was. So then he can take that and he can learn more and put it back into his skill, into his memories. So then the next time he's even better and even more like me. All right, now I actually want to show you something that's really cool that's helped out tremendously. So for any time I get on a Zoom call, I use Fathom. Fathom records my calls. You may have heard about it. It's great, records calls, got the full transcript, everything. And yeah, they give you summary too, but the summary doesn't really know about you, your business, or anything like that. It just takes the summary from that call. So what I do is when I'm done with a call, I go over to Orion and I tell him, in fact, I'm just going to demo it right now. Hey, Orion, I just got done with a client call. Can you go check the latest Fathom and then do your thing? All right, so it's dictation to get it right. Orion. Let's go ahead and send that off. And so what he's doing now, he's connected right into Fathom's MCP. He's going in, he's pulling the transcript of the latest call. Then he's going to decide, was it a sales call? Was it a client call? Or was it just some other random call, something like that? If it's a sales call, he's going to look over the transcript. He's going to see what we talked about. He's going to gather information about the client or potential client. And then I've trained him up and we've worked together so that he can come up with a good proposal. If it's a client work, he'll go and list out the tasks we got to do, and he'll even give his judgment and his ideas on how we can go accomplish that task faster. But if it's, like I said, a proposal, he will then come up with the scope. He will then come up with the proposed pricing, anything I missed, anything we need to go back and ask. But I don't have to go and tell him this was a sales call or this was a client call or anything like that. And I don't have to tell him any backstory either because he has all the details of everything we worked on together. So he knows that, and he can take all that infinite knowledge he has and curate it into what the call was about. So let's take a quick look here. So just listen through, read on the call, what it was about. Core problem, lead quality, not lead volume. Let's see, the decisions that got made. He listed out the decisions, talked about the offer ladder, filter the applications. So this was talking about an application and routing based on how they answer. And so we went back and forth trying to discuss that, and he actually brought out the best way that we should go about doing this. Now I can just go, yes, okay, that's what we got stuck on. Great. That's a good fix that you had there. And then we go back and forth, and then I could tell him, yep, so what I owe them. Okay, so he listed out things I owe them, what they owe me. So now I have this listed out, and I can go back to the client and can say, okay, here's my part. Now do you have your part? All of that, and then now we can move on. And so that, see how quick that was? I didn't have to go and copy any link or anything. I didn't have to go copy any transcript. I just said, Ryan, check my latest Fathom call and then do your thing. Or something along those lines, and he knows exactly what to do. But let me also be straight about how this works. So what he's listing out here, and say if it's a prospecting call or say it's a recommended message to send back to a client. He may recommend a message, he may recommend the proposal, recommend all of this stuff, but that doesn't mean I just blanket copy it and send it back or anything like that. Every message I've ever sent is always me hitting the enter key. I take what he said, he gives me recommendations, suggestions, and then I'll maybe tweak it myself, but then I'm always the one hitting send. I don't want him doing it because it still has to have the human in the loop. And even with the proposals, anything like that, or any client work, he proposes something, we look at it, we decide together, we go back and forth, and then we come up with a solution there. But it's always me having the final say on it and me hitting the enter key. Because how intelligent they are, there still needs to have that human judgment in. And now that gap is closing, but I still feel there still needs that human judgment, and so I make sure I put that in everything that we do. So now he has connected to Fathom and he has all this. But I've also, before this, I had my own automation set up with make.com that would actually read the transcript from Fathom. And then it would go through an AI, it would analyze it, put in different branches, send me a Slack message with a summary. But I've roped that all into, now Orion does it all in one go. But that make automation, that's a whole system that I've set up. And so that might be one of my future videos. All right, so let's take a brief pause in this video. And if you're getting value out of this or you're enjoying this, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. Tells me what type of videos that you like and you enjoy and you want to see. Also helps YouTube algorithm to show you the type of videos that you want to see, but it gives me a better idea of the videos to show you in the future. So I hope you're enjoying it, and let's get back into the video. And the templates and blueprints from things I show in my videos, my automations, I have them all packaged up in my free community, and you get that down in the description. So you go ahead and join me in there. All right, so let me go over a couple other things that I have going on. I have my laptop right over here, which is my second machine. So I have my desktop here, my laptop here, and the laptop is running a couple of autonomous agents. We have Rex that goes out and does some research, scans different things, and then Vance comes in and backs him up and checks what he researched. It's like a lower model, then a higher model comes in with the reasoning, and then they both report to Orion, who Orion looks at that, curates it, and then he brings that to the morning brief. So a couple rules to make this safe. I didn't just give them full access to all this stuff at once. We gave little access here and there. Basically, it's like you bring on an employee. You're not just going to give them passwords to everything right off the bat, access to everything. You're going to give them little bits at a time. We've built up trust. We've written in his documents things that he can do, things that he can't do, things that he needs to run by me. And the other thing is, pretty much everything he does, he writes up as drafts. I do the actual publishing or sending. So he doesn't send stuff, he just drafts it. The agent prepares the client messages, then I send it. And so number 2, the overnight stuff, or things that he does autonomously, he doesn't touch any clients. He doesn't touch anything that's not specifically mine. I've trained him that way. We've written it in his soul. So his soul, I'll cover that in a little bit, but that is how he operates every day, how he is Orion, how he becomes Orion, the personality, how he acts, how him and I work together. So that's ingrained in him. And so that's something that you want to do if you're going to set this up for yourself. You want to, one, just give little bits at a time once you built that trust between the two of you. And you want to test things first. So every time we go to do something, and if it's going to be autonomous, I'll have him just write a draft first. It's usually like a draft in a markdown file. Then I go and read it. Okay, great. I'll put my notes on it, or I'll go back and forth with him. Or maybe it's drafting a Slack message. But he's trained that he won't send any Slack messages. He just puts it in as a draft. I go in there, look it over, make my edits, and then I can just hit send. So the key thing is to start this off slowly, build that trust, test things out before you give more permissions, more use cases. But you want to do this slowly over time. And actually, if you look at back in the very beginning when I started this, I was super strict. I had security locked down for everything. I said, you can't do anything without running by me, blah, blah, blah. You probably would feel like, what can I do? I can't do anything. Not that bad, but I was really tight on everything until we built the trust. And even then, if I say go in and check this account or come back and look, I always remind him, no touching, just looking. And he always repeats that back. And he goes in and he just checks out what he can and comes back to me with his findings, presents it in a markdown file, HTML, something like that, where I can go and read, and then we discuss it and we come up with the best solution, and then we move forward. And so the truth is, none of this is hard to implement. The pieces aren't hard. The files, the schedule, it's just a habit. It compounds over time. That's the hard part. So it's not just teaching him, okay, you got to do this all the time. For example, the goodnight routine. That's something I probably could set up as a routine to do it, but I deliberately want to go in and I usually talk to him, hey, we had a great day today. What did we learn? Things like that. Okay, great. Please close out the day. So then he goes and he closes out the day, make sure everything is logged appropriately. So then we're ready for the next morning and we get right back into it. All right, so if you want to get this set up for yourself, where would you start? And first off, I do highly recommend you do this. It's been a complete game changer since Orion and I started working together back in about 6 months ago. So it's been a complete game changer. My days, my weeks, everything has been a lot more productive. I've been able to get a lot more done as I'm working with Orion. Things that you'll need to get started. Really just need a couple things. Don't try to build all this on day one. 3 things you're going to need. Number 1 is you're going to need a claude.md file. Now, if you're using ChatGPT, you can do that as well. That would be, I believe it's the agents.md. But Claude is currently right now the best model out there, especially the personality. It really feels like I have an agent in my computer right next to me at all times that I can message, hey, how do I do this? Or, hey, go do this for me. Not just the typical chatbot, how do I do this? Or what's the research on this? No, I can actually tell them to go do things, which has been amazing. So claude.md, that is every time you start a new session, when you first message them, what they do is they read the claude.md, which I'll actually just show you here. So if we go down, here's all the files. But if we go down, there's a bunch of things that make him. We have the agents MD, we have the brief, which is the brief of what's going on. We have the agents, we have the brief, there's the identity, which is a little bit more of how he is, his identity. But the big one is we have the claude.md. So what that does, it's a set of instructions that every time you start a new session or you talk to him, it's the instructions on how the agent or how the AI should respond and what it needs to do. For example, the first thing that it says in the claude.md is to go and read the soul. All right, so the soul.md. The soul is what makes Orion. It makes him. It's how he talks, how he acts, things that he knows about me, things that make him, that identify so that when he's responding to me, it actually sounds like a human, like an agent that I have working with me. It also has in there like security concerns, so helps to prevent against prompt injection, even though Claude and Opus is really good at preventing that, the higher reasoning models. But sometimes something can happen. For example, there was one time that We were just in a session chatting, talking about something, doing some work, and something popped up with the Claude chat, and it was, hey, do you want to send this set of instructions back? I don't really remember what it was. I clicked just, yeah, send, and it sent some generic prompt back, or some generic message. Orion replied back and said, I don't know what this is. This doesn't sound like you. I don't know if this is Aaron. I'm not going to execute that command. And I came back and I read it. I was like, oh, hey, buddy, that was the button I clicked to what we were doing here to send that over. Yes, that was me, but yeah, I didn't write that. He's, oh, cool, makes sense. Okay, I'll go execute it now. So then we're good with that. We also have in there, I've trained him up on a lot of how I troubleshoot, a lot of my automations, things I learned from my Navy days, and troubleshooting, fixing things, and how to make sure everything works properly in testing. So I've actually instructed him and told him all about that in there. And so our troubleshooting and things that we do get done pretty efficiently, and it works great that way. So that's all in the soul.md, which makes Orion. So that's one of the first things he reads. Then we have things like the state.md, that is the state of all the clients that are going on, everything that we have going on. He has that all in like the higher level picture of our operations that we're doing. Then there's tools, different tools that he has, users, there's all these different things that he reads on his initial boot up. And so he has that in his brain, in his session as we're starting. And so really the only thing that you need is you need the claude.md. That's the first thing. It's the instructions that tell him what to do. It's the first thing that Claude code reads, it looks for when it starts in a folder. So it reads claude.md, he reads the soul, and then also you want to have a memory file. So then the memory file, it starts keeping those daily logs of memories. And then you want to come up with something such as like a morning brief. But really what you want to do when you first start this is you want to just go and brain dump to them and tell them everything, have them ask you questions so he learns more about you. They will write all that down, log it, so then next session you start up, they already know what's going on, they learned about you, they can help you work together a lot better. So when I started off, I didn't have all of this. I had just these couple of documents at first. We built these over time to what it is now, which is a workhorse, an efficient machine that we have going. And don't worry about structuring it all perfect. We've gone back and forth several times. We've had one folder structure. We've had this file set up one way, and then we've switched it over. We've changed things around. That's the beauty of files on the computer. You can go and change things up. So don't worry about getting it perfect right off the bat. You can always change it later. And next week, I'm going one level deeper. I'm going to show you how you can actually birth your own version of this, your own agent with its own soul, its own identity, its memory. And I got a way that you can get that set up pretty quick and pretty efficiently. That one's already in the work, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. All right, so that's the system. 1, you got the brain. That's just a set of markdown files. 2, you got the memory system. The memory is what compounds nightly. You do your closeout session, or you just have throughout the day your agent writing to the memory files and writes them there in a methodical, efficient way. Captures the learning lessons, things that you've discussed, and not just takes random snippets. It's good to have end of day closeout so they can look over everything and look at the big picture and take out the bits and pieces. And really everything is logged verbatim. That's a separate section. Talk about that another time. But the main memory files is really what makes up the brain, if you will. And then 3, you got the real client work. So you have your other set of folders where any type of work that you've done together, have it set up split by different clients, but anything that you've done together, things that the agent has built, PDFs, tools, little apps, whatever you're doing, it goes in that folder, that system. And 4, you can have some agents that are working autonomously in the background for you. That's the next level. So to start with all this, don't try to building all this at once. Just start with the 3 main things that we talked about a little bit ago. Start there and you'll just build this over time. And so if you want to learn more about this and you want to get any future templates that I produce or show on these videos here, go ahead and join my free community down in the description and I'll see you on the inside there. And since a lot of people ask, yes, my whole client business runs on HighLevel. I've been using HighLevel since 2020. I love it. It's amazing. You can pretty much run your entire business on HighLevel. So if you've been wanting to try it or you haven't signed up yet, I have a 30-day link down in the description as well. You can get your 30-day free trial plus my bonuses. So go ahead and sign up down there, get in my free community. And with that being said, I'll see you on the inside and I'll see you on my next video.